This is the Future of the Future show. I am your host, Mateo Berbejicio. Today's guest is Sandy Carter, a trailblazer at the intersection of technology, business, and innovation. From leading transformative growth at IBM and AWS to now serving as COO of Unstoppable Domains, Sandy has consistently been at the forefront of shaping how enterprises and consumers embrace emerging technologies. Recognized as one of the most influential women in Web3 and a passionate advocate for digital identity, she's not only an accomplished executive, but also an author of multiple influential books, including her latest AI First, Human Always. Sandy brings a unique perspective on how culture, leadership, and innovation superpowers can empower organizations to thrive in disruptive times. In this conversation, we will explore her career journey, the convergence of AI and Web3, the cultural challenges of digital transformation, and the lessons she's learned bringing both traditional and forward-looking brands into the future of decentralized technology. Sandy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Sandy, you spearheaded growth at innovation at IBM, AWS, and you are now the COO of Unstoppable Domains. What's the secret for the success you had in your career?
I think one of the big secrets has been that I've always been customer obsessed. When I started with IBM, it's quite funny. They asked me, I was a product manager, and they asked me to write requirements for our engineering team on bank teller software. Now, I had never been a teller, and they said, oh, we've got all these reports. You can just write from these reports. And I was like, I don't really think that's going to do it. So I went and talked to Bank of America, and I actually got up to the CEO because I had gone to Harvard. He had gone to Harvard, and I told him what I was doing. And I said, I want to come work as a teller in your bank for a month so that I can see what it means to be a teller. And he goes, I've never been asked that. This is so cool. You're with IBM and you want to be a teller. And so for 4 weeks, I worked as a bank teller, took tons of notes, did product requirements. The Eng team said best requirements they'd ever seen because it was really well written. And our very first customer was Bank of America because they knew that I knew what we were doing. And so I think that just shows you a little bit about my customer obsession. I want to be able to do it. I want to get my hands dirty before I start declaring anything to be truth as we go along. Yeah. Have you ever heard anything like that before? Pretty crazy, right?
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I was going to ask you, do you know many other people that go that far?
No. And in fact, I have to tell you, so I did that. I also was asked to write requirements for check processing. So I also went back to Bank of America, worked in their checks processing center. Then IBM had this brilliant idea that the small and medium business market was growing super fast. And so they wanted me to do small and medium business solutions. So one of the solutions was for hair salons. And so I went and worked as a receptionist in a hair salon. So I had really fun, like first 2 or 3 years of IBM. I was a product manager. I was writing requirements and I was going to work at all these customer businesses. We ended up obviously getting out of small and medium business. Wasn't great for IBM, but we did sell that solution. That solution still is ongoing today to MicroStrategy.
It's an amazing story. We could go on and on that, but I'm going to move to the next question. How do you see the interplay between AI and Web3 reshaping enterprise and consumer engagement in the next 5 years?
Oh, well, I'm really excited about the combo of AI and blockchain. I think blockchain adds to AI what it's been missing, which is that trusted verification. And in fact, in my book, I guess it's this way. In my book, I have a whole chapter on why I believe that the most successful companies will use both technology converged together, not just one. So what blockchain brings to the party is the ability to verify ownership. And that's so important today. If you look at, deep fakes, voice fakes, right? I mean, there's so much going on today where people don't trust what I'm looking at, what I'm listening to, that it's real, that it's true. And that's so important. Like, Matteo, I mean, if you trust somebody, then you trust what they say, that you trust what they recommend. The same is true with AI. If you don't trust, the diagnosis that comes to the doctor, you don't trust the marketing recommendation, you're not going to use it. And so that trusted portion of blockchain, there's also other things, security. There's so many other things we could talk about, but let's just look at that one, the trusted portion, that trusted verification is so crucial. And we are right now at a very critical moment. I was just looking at the Edelman study today that came out in 2025, and it showed that they asked the globe who trusts AI. 51% said they trust it. 49% said they don't. That is like a tipping point, right? I mean, AI could go untrusted or trusted based on what happens. And I think that blockchain could have a big role to play in AI being much more trusted.
A lot has been said in my field of software development. It keeps advancing, and there are different studies on how much productivity is increasing, which is certainly a lot, right? But then there's discussions about how much is it. But there's some discussion around the variability of the responses that you're going to get with AI, right? Because we're talking about statistical prediction of an answer, then you're not always going to get the same answer. Do you think blockchain as well in terms of trust and I don't know, like fixing an answer or a certain result in time and in a blockchain, it's that part of the trust that blockchain brings to the table in that scenario, in that sense, in that industry?
I think it could be one of the ways, yes, because for auditing, let's take audit. If you're going to use AI for audit and you write in, okay, this is what we've done, this is what we've done, and you get a result, yes, we approve this. Well, then 2 days later, if you write in the same thing and it's like, no, you failed, obviously that would not work for an audit. So yes, you could make it into like an NFT on chain so that there's a permanent record of, yeah, hey, at this time, this was our data and we passed the audit. That's one thing. But the other is like, let's think about pictures. So the Pope, God rest his soul because he's now passed away. They had that picture of the Pope and everybody retweeted it. I think it was 10 million. I don't know how many people retweeted it, reposted it, of the Pope wearing a Ballman jacket, which is extremely expensive. And he finally came out and said, hey guys, that is not me. I'm frugal. I would never wear a $13,000 puffer jacket. That is a fake picture. Millions of people got fooled and felt like they had failed themselves because they had been a participant in retweeting that picture. But imagine if they had used blockchain on it and there was a verification check that said, hey, this is Pope.x and Pope.x approves this picture. So you could verify, look, this is a picture of me and I solidify that's a picture of me. And that would be kind of the common way of doing things, right? There is actually a solution where you can verify a picture or a video or words that are truly from a person. And that's available today. So what if everybody started using that? What if news agencies and, different outlets started leveraging or using that? How powerful that would be for trust. And those are just two examples. There's many, many more examples of this as well.
Very clear. Sandy, you often talk about innovation superpowers such as agility, speed, telepathy, X-ray vision, spidey sense to help business thrive in disruptive times. Could you share a story of how activating one of these superpowers made a real difference in an organization?
Yes. I will say that, let me just do, like opening your eyes, like that X-ray vision, right? So, so first there's going to be a failure, right? There has to be, because there has to be a villain, and then the success. A company in Asia was using these mood jackets. I guess it was like a vest. And I don't know, did you ever have a mood ring, Mateo? Like the mood rings where they, no? Okay. I had a mood ring and I liked it, right? It would turn blue if I was sad. It would turn pink if I was happy. So the same concept was here for the mood vest. The vest would turn different colors. They would send, it had IoT sensors in it, and it would send information to a master dashboard using AI. Then they would adjust. They would adjust like the temperature, or if they felt like the energy level was low, they would play music. Or, if they felt everybody not feeling it, they would say, okay, look, you're supposed to have a break after 2 hours. We're going to go ahead and take a break now because everybody needs a break. So the motivation was all excellent, right? They spent 9 months developing the technology, so excited the technology was done. And so they decided to roll it out in 2 weeks. So think about that. 9 months on the technology, 2 weeks to roll it out. And so what they did is they forgot that they needed humans to help them out with this technology. And so some managers who were really smart, they sat their teams down and they said, hey, look, we're going to get these jackets. It's great for you. All the data is anonymized. It's going to sense when you're hot. It's going to sense when you're cold. It's going to sense when you need a pick me up. It's going to sense when you need a break. This is great for us. We love this. And so they talked to the teams. None of the other teams got that. So when when they rolled it out, what happened? Many teams refused to wear it. They're like, oh, you're not tracking my productivity. It wasn't anything about productivity, but they hadn't done the training well. And so, with their spidery sense, they sensed, man, we did this wrong. We should have spent at least as much time with the people as we did with the machine, with the technology. And so they used it to completely turn it around, getting the workers on the floor to understand the value of it, to actually make improvements to it, re-rolled it out, and it was very successful. And I would say, if I could come up with a new one, that human in the loop is a superpower. If you're spending all your time with the technology and none of the time with your people, you are a villain in our story. If you want to be a superhero, you need to bring your team in. You need to get them trained. You need to get their ideas and how they can use AI and blockchain for the next generation.
Very, very clear. With digital transformation being more about culture than tech, what common cultural barriers do you consistently see companies face when ramping up transformation, and how can they overcome them?
Yeah, the number one barrier that I see consistently and even amplified right now, Mateo, is fear. People right now are very fearful. They're fearful of blockchain, a lot because of crypto, right? A lot of scams out there. People are just, like you say, blockchain, and they're like, no. Or Sandy, I thought you were very ethical, but you're working in this space. And so, it's a fear that I'm going to scam them. AI is the same, right? They're fearful that I'm going to take away their job. In fact, I wasn't there, but a friend of mine was in Portland, Oregon, and they had a meeting to talk about AI governance and everything. And they had, I don't know, 100, 150 people that came. While they were in the meeting, a group of citizens spray painted, we call it tagged in the US, they spray painted the cars. And they said, go away AI, we hate AI. Well, what had recently happened there is a couple of companies had done layoffs and they had blamed AI. So I would say, especially right now with what we're dealing with blockchain and what we're dealing with AI, the biggest emotion, the biggest hurdle to overcome is fear. And this is why I do believe there has to be human in the loop, right? If you talk to people about what blockchain really is, like crypto is one use case, and not all crypto is bad. So you've got to explain it. So if you have a human in the loop, a human explaining it, a human you trust, same thing is true with AI. If you've got humans understanding, wow, now I can take, this task that I had of counting up all the leads and everything, which isn't fun anyway. And now I can do this because my AI agent is doing that. That's a whole different picture than, hey, you used to do that. Now AI is going to do it. It's creating a new role for that person, a new job, which I think is much more powerful.
So, Sandy, at Unstoppable Domains, you led the creation of the Web3 Domain Alliance and forged several new partnerships embracing user-owned digital identity. What were the biggest challenges in bringing traditional Web2 brands into this new frontier, and how did you navigate them?
Well, we've got several Web 2 brands, and I think now too, like who is a Web 2 brand? Because a lot of companies are now mixed, right? I mean, if you really think about it, they're really both today because they see the power of both of the technologies. I would say, as we've been talking to different companies in different cities, part of it is seeing the value. So let's just take Austin, for example. I actually wouldn't call Austin as a city Web 2 or Web 3. But what they needed to see is the power of the technology itself. Like, what could it bring to the table? I can store my library card digitally, so I don't have to constantly figure out where did I put that library card, right? Is it in this purse or that purse or this wallet? Where is my library card? Where is my driver's license? In Arizona, we digitized driver's license. So you can actually show a digital picture. So the question became, okay, I'm going to get this license digitized, but where do I store it? So for us, it was natural that we would store that inside of a domain or a digital identity. You can store your digitized license in there. And so I think it's really about showing utility, right? Utility is greater than hype at every single moment. And I think in showcasing the utility that you get from the domain, the digital identity, that's where the real power is. And that's where you can get people to see the value of what you're doing.
So let's talk a little bit about your books. You've authored several influential books from the new language of business to AI first, human always. How has your perspective on technology and leadership evolved over time, and what inspired the message behind your latest book?
Oh, wow. Technology has been fun, hasn't it? I mean, it's just changed so much. And I think that's why, a lot of us who've been through a lot of these transitions aren't as afraid of it as some of the new kids on the block, right? Where they're like, oh my gosh, everything's changing. Well, we've been through all kinds of stuff, right? So we're kind of masters at that. I think technology and emerging tech keeps changing and it keeps speeding up. And AI is, I have to tell you, the fastest thing that I've ever seen and the biggest impact to non-technology people. Right? Like think about the cloud, right? When we were transitioning to the cloud, I really wouldn't talk to my dentist about it or my florist about it. But I find now, I was just asked to speak at a group of dentists in my region of the world about AI. I don't think I would ever been asked to speak about cloud to a group of dentists or florists or dry cleaners, which are three of the new types of people that I've been speaking with. So it's fast, it's hitting a new type of audience, and it's got a lot of power. And I think those three things make it very, very, very different. Can also make it very, very, very scary, right? We're seeing the technology move so fast that there are laws and regulations that haven't kept up to date. There are younger and younger kids using it without proper guidelines around it, right? We've all read about kids committing suicide from advice that was given by AI. And so I think we have to really work hard to get all those things to catch up. And that is really what inspired my book, AI First, but Human Always, right? I mean, you and I have gone through, did you go through the mobile first era? Then the cloud first era? Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it's going to be AI first, right? After you go through all that. But I wanted to make sure that people remembered that humans will always be around and that humans play a part in this, right? Laws and regulations, we need the humans educated so they can create the laws that we need or the regulations. Humans need to be there for their kids, right? I mean, it's quite interesting. I'll speak at like a corporate event, and afterwards I'll have a line of people, they'll ask me about business, but every single one of them will say, and Sandy, what do I recommend to my kids? Like, how do I manage this with my kids? And so that's human always, right? They're thinking AI first, I got it, but I'm a parent, I'm a business leader, I'm a human in the loop, and I need to stay in that loop. So that's really where the inspiration came from. I talked to about 434 companies in person, like did personal interviews. I did a survey of about 1,500 companies for some of the data in the book, and made sure that I also blended, we didn't forget about cool technologies like blockchain, who could bring trust, or even AR and VR, spatial computing. Like, what's going to bring that experience to AI? It's going to be that. It's not just about AI, although that's what we're all fascinated with today. It's also about all these other technologies and people. I was chatting with this guy. This is just such a funny story to me. And he's like, "Oh, I see you built an AI agent. I'm thinking about building one too." I said, "Oh, that's really great. What are you going to do?" And he goes, "Well, I've got this billing system, and I think AI would be really great for that billing system." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Billing system's working well today?" "Oh no, it's horrible today." I'm like, "Oh, do you know what's wrong with it?" Not really, but AI will figure that out." I'm like, no, AI is not going to figure out what's going wrong with your billing system. You need to really focus in on what's working, like fix your broken stuff, like map your worst process, take your worst process, fix it with people, and then AI it. Or make your winners the biggest portion of AI. Figure out where that superpower is and then leverage AI in that area, not the area that's broken. And so I think there's so much power here with the human element. There's still so much for humans to do. I don't want us to get down and out and think AI is going to completely replace me. I'm going to be sitting out at the pool, drinking a margarita with nothing to do, no purpose. I don't think that's going to be the case, at least not for the foreseeable future.
So do you think we will be doing more, maybe different, smarter type work, and sometimes I think we are just not dreaming bigger enough, right? It's like
Yeah.
we don't yet realize all the new possibilities that we have. Do you feel the same?
Absolutely. I think that's such a great point, Mateo. Because if you think about it, it's really about not just automating your job, right? I mean, we could have done that before. We didn't need AI for that. Like automating what you're currently doing. No, it is about figuring out what your new role is going to be, because AI is now doing this, so you can do that. For example, I was working with a marketing organization. I do a lot with, I used to be a CMO. And so, they were going, what can AI do faster than I can? Oh, it can do market research. Oh, it can, count up the leads. Well, that's good, right? That's a C. How do I use AI to do my current job faster? But the real question is thinking bigger. What could my role be when AI handles that? What are the things I've always wanted to do that I could not get done? That's really what you need to be focused on. And maybe not even thinking about how things are today. Like I was thinking the other day, today, if you think about a sales process, you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to get someone to look at my stuff online, going to send them an email. I want them to respond to the email. How can I make the email great for them to respond? But what if with AI, we could figure out this is the perfect time to sell Mateo that new guitar? This is the perfect time. And we know it's the perfect time. So we don't even have to go through the SEO and the email and all that. We know it's a perfect time. I know that's kind of far out there, but you see what I mean. Another example is, I'm using AI today in customer support. We've got a list of questions. We know what the low-hanging fruit. But what if AI learned the code and then answered? I didn't have to train it. It learned the code and it answered questions based on the code. Like that's thinking differently of support. So what is that next thinking big moment that we could leverage to change the game? I'm
Definitely.
with you.
No, I love that. It's amazing. I hear you speak, and it's golden nuggets of advice every other sentence. So I appreciate it, Sandy. This has been an amazing conversation. A recommendation for everyone that is listening: go read AI First, Human Always, the latest book by Sandy Carter. Thank you for being here, and I hope we can stay in touch and we can do this again in the future.
Yeah, you got it. I still have to hear you play with that guitar or that drum back there too. Thank you. Thanks for everybody who's listening too. Bye bye.